he walked in the room, he was wearing a green army jacket. His attempt to look his best was drowned out by his patchy beard, that army jacket, long hair, and he had some tattered jeans on. He didn't seem to notice the looks of others in line as they sort of looked at him. They were dressed in their Sunday best. He was in a solitary place. He was just staring at the floor. I watched him as he moved forward in the line, as the line progressed, and I wondered, who is he and why is he here? As he finally got to the destination, the casket, I noticed that the tears began to run faster down his face. The tears turned to sobs as he almost lost control and fell, but regained himself by holding the coffin as he stared at the lifeless face in front of him. He then reached into his pocket and he pulled out a gold coin. He brought it up to his face and gently he kissed it as he placed it in my brother's coffin. I found out later that this gold coin was a gold medallion, or his 2-year sobriety medallion. I had to rush to catch up with him as he left very quickly to try to escape without anyone noticing. As I got up to him, I tapped him on the shoulder. He turned, I think, surprised that anyone even noticed he was there. And I thanked him for the kindness, the generosity, and the love that he had just shown my older brother, Scott. His eyes were still red, tears still on his cheeks, and he looked at me and he said, "Your brother saved my life." I got to know him a little bit more over the next 15 or 20 minutes, and I found out that Scott and he had met in a recovery program 2 years before. He said Scott came in the room the first time and you saw him, and he said this guy was like a linebacker. He was huge. But he said you just knew something was special about him. That giant smile and that feeling you just know when somebody cares about you. Scott had that. He said most nights when they would hand the mic to somebody, Scott was the one that would take the mic and he would give the motivational speech to get you through the day, sometimes just through the hour, most of the times for another week. He said that Scott could give you hope when you didn't see hope around you. Scott would be able to take you and take your life and show you all the ways in life you should be happy, why you should have hope, and why your life mattered. Scott and I were separated by 3 years. He was my older brother. Scott was my hero. He was my mentor. He was my best friend. I remember in town growing up, I was in Flagstaff, Arizona, a small town, and I'd walk around and I would just wait for somebody to say, "Scott Lane, your brother?" And I'd say, "Yes, Scott Lane is my brother." He was great at basketball, football, baseball. He had scholarships for all of those sports. Everyone loved him. Scott was handsome, much more handsome than me. Most of the girls liked him, and I think most of the mothers in town would be happy if Scott Lane dated their daughter. I remember one night, I'm in bed, we shared a room, it was high school, his senior year. He came home about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I noticed something different about Scott. Blood all over his shirt and his pants. I found out earlier that night that their bus on the way home had come across another vehicle that had been in a single-car accident. It had run into a tree, and nobody was there yet. The coaches, in their panic, were not sure what to do. Somebody got on the phone and called 911, and they're just standing there, Scott said. He bullied through all of them as they're trying to keep him back, powers through the door and rushes to this young man and pulls him to safety. Scott was a modern-day Superman. But you see, when Scott looked in the mirror, he didn't see the big red cape that we all saw. He didn't see the giantess. This bigger-than-life hero could take you and show you why your life mattered. He could show you how much you mean to your family and the world. But when he looked at himself, he didn't see that. He didn't see hope. He would look at himself and find comparisons and things that created conflict in his life. Many people share with Scott this kryptonite. I shared this kryptonite with Scott. When I walked out here today, you probably looked at me and said, "He looks pretty successful. I wonder what he does. I wonder if that's a nice suit. I wonder how much he paid for that suit. And did you see my watch? I rolled my cuffs up so you could see my watch." Some of you may have wondered, I wonder how much money he makes. I wonder what kind of car he drives. I wonder how big his house is. I wonder how many times he's been married, if he's even been married. How many times he's been divorced. I wonder if he's filed bankruptcy. Others may have thought, he looks flaky. He looks like a fake. He just told Paul to say those things so you would think he was good. He's promoting himself. He's got a product to sell. It's all about him. I'll bet you it's all about him. You know, when we play that game, when we look around and we validate ourselves by comparing with other people, it's a perception. We call it our perceived reality. Most of the time, our perceived reality has nothing at all to do with actual reality. So a few months ago, I decided to speak here today. And my topic was all about me. I had a great speech, a number of speeches. I might have 20 speeches, so that maybe tomorrow or Monday, you could tell everybody, maybe some of you are videotaping me, you could tell everybody, this guy was incredible. Not because of the content I shared with you, but because it would make me feel good. It would validate me as a person. It would make me feel like I've won. But as I continued to throw away draft after draft, I knew I needed to share with you me. That's been a painful process as I've unwrapped the layers of me. This is not a Chip and Dale show, I promise you. What I found as I began to unwrap me was that Scott and I were very similar. We both suffer from many of the same things, the same epidemics. Scott's worth was validated so many times by his perceived reality. My worth has also been defined by my perceived reality. What I found out is that I play a game. And this game, you may not see it so clearly on my shirt. And by the way, the watch is fake. If you want to see a real one, go to Dave's wrist. I play this game. It's called Win, Lose, Compare, Compete, Me. It's a tough game because I never win. Well, if I win, it's very temporary. Because most of the time we find somebody that's better at something than we are. You know, if you go to my house, I don't have dream boards. I have pictures that are almost the size of these banners on my wall. They're everywhere. Most of them are pictures of things. I do have occasional pictures of my family that I do love. And a few spiritual things that we have to put those up there, don't we? Most of the things are how I can decide if I'm winning or losing. And most of the time I'm losing. So for me, I fall into a particular habit. I will go home, get a new book. You know, magically in my inbox that day, something appears to me to show me how I can beat you, or how I can beat him, or how I can get the car that I just saw driving down the road. So it's great because they teach me how to set new pictures. They teach me how to set new goals so that I can get more things for me. Others, they walk away, they hide. They begin to escape reality. Because you know what, if you escape reality, if I don't go there, I don't have to see that car. I don't have to see that business. I don't have to see that, whatever it is, that threatens my competitiveness. Usually when we fall into that, we don't like us anymore. It hurts, it's painful. We become resentful of the person we're comparing ourselves to and don't even realize that they're probably hiding underneath their suit. The sad part about this is as much as it hurts me when I go through this, it hurts the people around us so much more. We're so stuck in ourselves that we don't realize, now 18 years that he's been gone, how much it hurt those two little girls that didn't have a father. How much it hurt his wife, and how much it hurt all of us every day. You know, my wife, I know when I go through this, tells me how much it hurts her to watch me. So you see, we're not hurting ourselves. We're really hurting the ones we love the most. Now, what about my ability to compete? Okay, so I got a shirt in the closet. It's not this shirt. And it says that second place is the first loser. And then I have my Ricky Bobby shirt that says, if you're not first, you're last. I had a coach in high school who told me so many times that it's here. He said a famous George Steinbrenner quote that said, winning is the most important thing in my life next to breathing. Breathing first, winning next. So today I'm driving, okay? Now I have a small car. Advantage Rent-A-Car likes to give you small cars. So I'm sitting on the pavement almost. In my rearview mirror, I'm driving. And I don't know about Utah, but I'm not sure why you have to pass everybody in the right lane. Because everybody's in the left lane. So I'm in the left lane. You can barely fit a smart car, a half a smart car between me and the guy in front of me. And I look in the mirror, and he's there. And then he's here. And I'm thinking, no way, it's on now. I hear, winning is the most important thing in your life, Eric, next to breathing. As I almost injure myself, my son, who's with me today, and innocent people on the freeway trying to win a game of Win the Freeway. Win, lose, right, wrong, compare, compete, me. I'm a CrossFit coach for years. I've had the opportunity to work with athletes. I'm also a physician. Happens in the athletic world all the time. People tell me all the time, CrossFit is dangerous. It is not dangerous. It's functional movements that we should know how to do. We should all know how to do an air squat. Okay? We should know how to do a squat. We should know how to do a pull-up. But this is what happens in the CrossFit world. Bob is 41 years old. Bob was a starting quarterback for his high school when he was 17 years old, 24 years ago. He was third team all-conference, class double D, or E. There was about 300 kids in his class. Bob walks into the gym, and on the board, there's usually a big whiteboard. We call it the workout of the day. The workout of today is an Angie. The Angie is 100 pull-ups, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 air squats. And you write your time down. On the board is also a list of the competitors. Jim occupies number 1. Jim has done the Angie in 13 minutes and 42 seconds. That's a great time. But it's on. Bob looks at the board. He goes to the gym. Goes over to the pull-up bar. He starts. Now understand, Bob has never done 100 pull-ups in his entire life, let alone 100 pull-ups followed by 3 100 things. Bob gets to pull-up number 24. He feels a twinge in his right shoulder. Bob is unaware that that's his labrum, a membrane that the long head of the biceps attaches to. So Bob attempts to continue to go on because he hears his coach say, Bob, winning is the most important thing in your life, next to breathing. By pull-up number 43, now understand, the 18 pull-ups between there look like a whole body heave or he's having a seizure on that pull-up bar. It is not a pull-up. So Bob tears his rotator cuff and spends the next 2 years maybe recovering. He's never fully recovered. It's easy to see how these things damage us in the physical world. They are so much more painful in the mental, emotional world. These emotional cancers destroy every bit of happiness that we have and the happiness of those that are around us. You would think that I would have figured this out. After watching Scott, at 36 years old, leave us. And then, a little over a decade later, Grant, another older brother, at 49, leave us. Both suffered from this kryptonite. Both of them on complete ends of the financial spectrum. One worth millions and one is middle-class America. It doesn't matter how much money we make. There's no pill, there's no vaccine, there's no cure for this disease. It is wired in all of us. It's essential for life. It's not win or lose in survival. It's live or die. You know, I can't eat the deer I almost caught. It's not win or lose. It's eat or starve. What I have found, though, are a few things that I think might help you. when I was preparing this, you're supposed to have an antidote for you guys on how I fix the problem. The problem is I have the problem, and I don't think I fixed it. So, a dear friend shared with me the other day something that I think we can all learn. He said, you know, in life, a lot of times, all of these problems we never figured, but sometimes we were here, and now I'm down a block, and I'm here. And so I can tell you guys, come on now, I can show you how to get to the next block. I can show you things that have helped me. Number one, happiness is not a destination. It is not a thing, it's not a condition, it's not some visual board that we think will bring us happiness. That Ferrari will not make you happy for very long. The joy of the journey is in the ride. Put a picture on that dream board of you being truly happy. And I'll tell you, you're not happy when you're keeping score. Any of you that have children, whenever they call you from the stand, Mr. Wayne, can you come down and keep score for your son? Basketball game. Have you ever kept score and tried to enjoy their game? It's impossible. Who got the assist? Who got the turnover? Who got the rebound? You don't even know your son's playing. That's what we do when we keep score. There's no fun. There's no happiness. And we prevent the happiness from those around us. So don't make happiness a destination. Make it a way of life. Number two. This is the last one. It's real simple. Turn the me or turn the M to a W. Make it we. It doesn't take long every day to do something for someone else. A text, a phone call, an email. And maybe if you're feeling really giving, you'll give the greatest gift you have, yourself. We turn our focus somewhere else. And it's incredible what happens. And you know what's funny about these two things? Is every goal you have in here today, you will achieve so much better. All of those things on the dream goal, if you forget about these things. Finally, remember, somewhere out there, there's a guy in a green jacket. He's got a patchy beard. He's got long hair. He thinks you're Superman. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about all this stuff. He doesn't care what you think, how you beat yourself up all the time, because he sees you. He sees the real you. He sees the you that has given him hope, has shown him happiness all around him. The you that makes him feel like Superman. Thank you.